Ladies, gentlemen, young, old, Nigerian, non-Nigerian, it's time once again for the Polity, your darling magazine, your darling program that comes live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN television every blessed working day of the week. And this afternoon, as usual, we'll be talking about something that affects you and affects every single person who is domiciled in Nigeria, because tax concerns everyone, every adult, and if it does not concern you directly, it concerns somebody that's close to you. It concerns somebody that's you are probably a dependent on. It concerns the business that you run. It concerns the business that you work for, and so it's something that concerns every single person, whether private individual or corporate body. And we'll be talking about a new tax reform bill that has generated so much debate, so much controversy, and in some cases so much face-off. So much so that yesterday, when the presidential team went to the Senate to try to explain the standpoint, try to defend the bill, they received cold shoulders, as it were, from a whole lot, some number of the senators who felt that the mission was not in the interest of their own people. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. What exactly are the merits? What exactly are the demerits? And so that we can have an understanding that will help us to navigate this very tough times, so that we don't unnecessarily hit up the polity, so that we can begin to prepare towards this new order that's being put in place. This is what we're going to be talking about, and I want you to call on to your neighbor, tell them that this is crucial, that this is important, and that this will help in planning, and that this will help in arranging finances. And I mean, there are a whole lot of positives from what I've heard of the policy of the bill, and we all need to know what are the positives, what are the drawbacks, and then so we can strike a balance and see whether it's worth it or whether it's something to be thrown out in its entirety, as some people have suggested, even when many people are saying you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. At this point, I'll go on a short break, and when I do come back, my guest, Dr.Aliyu, will be brought in, and this afternoon we'll be connecting with him via Zoom, and then from that point we'll take it on.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1. Action.
And that's why, at KAFTAN Television,
we imagine a beautiful world.
We are not just bragging.
We blaze the trail in broadcasting. And it is about you.
At KAFTANTV, broadcasting is not just about information, education, and entertainment.
It's an aggregation of all you need to know in Nigeria
And around the world to create signal.
At KAFTAN Television, we have all it takes to be on top in broadcasting.
Our mission is simple: to project Africa in a truthful yet positive manner.
Wait,
we're coming to you in style.
Here we are, starting from September.
Look at what the facts are.
And as you say on KAFTANTV, imagine a beautiful world.
In the beginning, God created a beautiful world.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, dear viewers. Like I said a while ago, I'm being joined by Dr. Aliyu, who is an economist and development expert. And this afternoon, we're talking about the new tax reform bill, which has generated tremendous excitement, even though in the negative sense in most cases, to the point where the northern governors at a point did say that they are opposed to it and that the president should drop the idea. Doctor, you are welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, so quickly, so much has been said about the new tax reform bill, and many people seem to have some issues with it, maybe arising out of ignorance, maybe arising out of misunderstanding, to the point where that northern leaders have said that the presidency or the president is targeting that section of the country through that policy, through that bill. What's your take? First of all, are there merits in this proposal? Yes, Doctor.
Right.
Can you?
For me, I think it's we are developing, and I think it is in the right time now for us to come to terms with it. And I'm glad that it has generated a lot of discussion in Nigeria. That virtually everybody is interested in the outcome of the reform tax. You recall that tax has come in different way in Nigeria. Let's even look at about women riots. I recall about women riots was actually gets heated because of tax and the challenges that arise from. But I haven't read this tax proposal. I think it's a good proposal. You recall that the tax is about 4. They talk about different things. One will be changing name of the organization. One will be looking at VAT. Then one will be looking at reduction in some taxation as well. So it's a whole lot of that. You also come with the politics and the dynamics of politics in it. You see some governors are saying no, they are opposed to it, while some senators are saying, House of Rep are saying yes, it's a welcome development. But by and large, I think tax reform is long overdue in Nigeria.
Okay, so Doctor, you believe that tax reform is long overdue in Nigeria. Now the question will be, so in the way it's been fashioned, would you say that it's a policy in the right direction?
Right. I think my first challenge was that, if you recall, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu instituted a committee headed by Taiwo Yedele to look at policies, fiscal policy and taxation in Nigeria. I think the problem now is that it is an executive bill. I think that's the first problem. So imagine if it's emanated from a senator inside that is looking at it, but now it's coming as an executive bill. I think that's why the challenges are coming. Perhaps I can also say the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not do the political side of it very well, because it's not about taxation only. You need to also fix the political side of it, because politics, in fact, is much more than economics. Every economic policy that is coming up, politics will make it work or will make it not work. So the major challenge is that the way it was fashioned and designed, I think the approach was not what some northern governors and some northern senators actually expected.
Okay, still staying on that course. So what exactly would the, okay, maybe we should go into the meat of the matter, then we'll come back to what you think the president should have done in terms of the politics, in the political dynamics of this issue. But before then, first, does this bill portend any benefits? Can we itemize 1, 2, 3 benefits that comes with this bill if signed into law? Doctor, did you get me? So I'm asking, Doctor, are there any benefits that come with this bill? And can we itemize 1, 2, 3?
Yes, if you have a lot of benefits therein, a lot of benefits. In fact, the benefits outweigh any negative challenge. The first benefit is that since 1965 and around 1993 that we have people.
Is it by any means possible for you to be a little bit more audible?
Right. Yes, it's possible. So what I'm saying is that it has more positive than negative. Let me start from people that earn below, earn with around 70,000. According to the tax, it says that whoever earn less than 1 million naira in a year will not pay personal income tax. So if you are earning 70,000, 80,000, 90,000, that is not up to 1 million naira in a year, you will not pay a tax. That simply means that a salary earner, especially minimum wage salary earner, wouldn't need to pay any money, any taxation, which is a good one. That will now result to purchasing power. The money they're supposed to pay, they will now use it to do something else. The bill also says that
oh my. Well, the doctor just told us that the bill says that anyone who earns below 1 million naira per year will have no need to pay tax. Yes.
Yes, people that are also doing business less than 25 million naira as a business person, MSME, you have to also, you will not also pay, you'll be exempted in taxation. That's another positive of it. The one that I'm even expect our elite to even discuss is that if you are earning more than 100 million, you'll be paying tax of 25%. People are not looking at that, because that's why I'm actually looking at. Will the National Assembly pass such? Will our elite pay such taxation? These are the things I'm actually looking at. Then, beyond that as well, it also came to kill multiple taxation. Let me give you an example of telecos. Most telecos, they will pay to the local government, they will pay to the state government, they will pay to the federal government. But this is a serious problem on businesses. I don't have to pay double taxation. So Frank will now come and say, no, I will collect the VAT myself as federal government, then will now return that about 95% to the states, especially companies, states where the company lies. And I think that's where the controversy actually occur, which I think is a political issue that must solve as soon as possible.
Now, Doctor, is that figure really 25 million, the MSME thing, or 50 million? What exactly it is it? And that's just one. Number two, when you said those who earn 100 million and above will now pay 25% as tax, that translates to 25 million naira, isn't it? And I share your fears that people in that bracket, in that income bracket, are not likely to want to append their approval on that kind of thing. And also, I'd like to also talk about the fact that you have said multiple taxation will be taken out of the way. But how does this now affect the states and local government councils who used to get those taxes? Will that mean much less incomes, or will it mean just more effective and more efficient administration?
Right. I think for the issue of it depends on what the category that some company fall into. I think it's between 25 million to 50 million.
Okay.
So it depends on the company you fall. If it's MSME, small businesses, and there are some things that they have even removed tax from. I think head commodity and some commodity, they have also removed tax from it that you not pay. Education tax is removed. So a lot of tax has been removed, which is also good to allow, because if you look at the FCT, for instance, schools in FCTs are paying a whole lot of tax. AEPB will come, AMAP will come, federal government will come, a lot of local government will also come. So I think it's a good one. Then in terms of
so how does that now affect those local government areas? Is that not the part of the reason why they are raising concerns?
Exactly. Now, I share the sentiment of the governors. I don't want to use the word local government, I mean, northern state governors, because I recall Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State actually came out and Oyo actually came out to brief Nigerians, and they said they are not aggrieved. I agree with them. It's a good sentiment that they must express, because they suffer environmental degradation, and the consumption happens in their states. So if you now say that the tax have to go back to only the headquarters, that simply means it's only 3 states that are benefiting from that: states and rivers. Those are where we have major companies. So you're saying that we have banks in Nigeria. So you're not saying that if you are going to collect all the tax across Nigeria, only to where they are, and most time when the is located, there is no operation there. They don't suffer environmental degradation, they don't suffer a lot of issues that will attract taxes. So I think I share the sentiment of those that are saying no. We consume more here. I can also give you some example of some items that have been produced in the south, but much more consumed in the north. So it's not a good one. It should be balanced so that they also have something for the local government that operation actually occur. So I share their sentiment.
Now, talking about the derivation part of this, and what you just referred to when you talked about, which is what you just tried to break down when you said monies will be, the income will be based on where the head offices of the entities are. Now, shouldn't that be a wake-up call to those states that have little or no investments to be galvanized into action to ensure that they too can, through appropriate projects, can also generate commensurate income? That's one, so that you can take them together. Now, there has been this clamor in times past from certain sections of the country, particularly the South, that if you say, for example, where I come from, and I know that applies in many places, if you say, there are proverbs that if you say that you don't eat rabbit meat or you don't eat chicken, then you don't eat the soup at all. You don't eat the soup at all because the flavor of the chicken will be part of the soup. I don't know if you're following me, doctor. So the flavor of the chicken, the flavor of the particular meat used in making the soup is part of the soup. So if you have an abhorrence for that particular kind of meat or protein, then you must abstain entirely from the soup. You cannot now elect to take the soup while leaving the meat, because invariably you have taken part of the meat. What am I saying? Now, most northern states, and particular specific example over the last few years is the Hisba in Kano State, for example, that arrests trucks bringing in alcohol into the state and crushes them, crushes the crates, crushes the bottles, and of course when the bottles are crushed, the entire contents are lost. And this has resulted in billions of losses to beer industry. Yet, for those parts that are consumed in the places that do not raise any issues, the VAT that comes out of it, VAT part of the VAT goes to some of those states who say they don't want alcohol consumption. If it was not being consumed in those other places, how would they have gotten? I think that there has to be some level of ethical, principled stance on some of these things. So, I mean, how does that affect if you don't want a commodity, which means you have said no sale, zero sale to such a commodity, yet you want to benefit from the tax that is being generated in some other jurisdiction? I need you, Doctor, to take a look at this.
Right. I think that I always take exception using that example that the North doesn't consume alcohol and they want to collect from. There's other things, other products that also it comes from the North, and the South also South have a law against it. That time they said don't bring a particular item. It could be cow. Don't rear cow here. So, it's a lot of issues. So I don't really want us to even go into that area, because we have different way of life at different places. And Nigeria is a federal, is a federation. So it depends on the federation decision. And that's why I'm happy that the issue is going to National Assembly and it's going to be subject to debate. In fact, for me, I've said no matter whatever they are doing public hearing, I like to be in part of that public hearing to see how this tax will go. Me, I'm in support of this tax reform. However, we have 4 tax reforms. It's only one we are hammering about. What about the other 3? So for me, if you ask me, I think we need to be careful about this issue of tax, especially in terms of consumption tax. They need to debate it in the National Assembly and see, because I've seen other Senate House of Rep member, especially Jubril, who is in NNPP now. He actually said it's a good idea to have that tax reform. You have also seen some northern governors like Aliyu who said no, you must take it back. So I want to tell you that it's not about the policy itself, it's about the political interest. I'm thinking there's a political interest dimension that we are not seeing. Recall that governors actually threatened House of Rep, some House of Rep member, and said that if they support the bill, they will not return. So it's much more political. So for me, I would advise Mr. President to find a way of calling these people to action so that there can be a proper dialogue. Look at what happened yesterday. It was like an aberration. You want to have a discussion on the issue, and you invite the Ayodele and FRS person, Zach. Now, when you invited them, it's not in the other paper and appear. If not for politics, ideally it's supposed to be in the other paper, and they will appear, but nobody knew they actually but they came in to defend, and that's what's caused the problem. So sometimes politically you may want to be right, while morally it may not be what is accepted.
Okay. So there's the aspect that I try to talk about. Is this not a wake-up call for governors of some of those states who feel threatened to really channel their resources into investments that will bring them into a place where they can earn much better VAT returns?
I actually agree with you 100% that every business should do more to increase their internal generated revenue, IGR. Look at Oyo State. Oyo State have gold, but they cannot access the gold. But they went and started a company called Segilola. Is it Oyo State? Yes, Segilola also. Now, that's how other things should do. In fact, I can tell you, northern states have more resources than southern states. There is no state in northern state that does not have resources. You want to talk about Kogi, you want to talk about Nasarawa, you talk about Zamfara, all of them have natural resources. But the problem is that how well are we tapping it? We may say it belongs to federal government, but you can also find a way to work around it. So it's not an excuse. However, that should not justify that Lagos, that is how much like 70%, even not 80% of companies in Nigeria, the headquarters are situated in Lagos. Are you now saying that all the VAT should go to Lagos as it was? That is what people are trying to correct. And that's why Oyo is also complaining, because Oyo is close to Lagos, but Oyo does not have headquarters. Most headquarters are situated in Lagos, but bring their items to Oyo to sell another Nigerian state. So it will just be Oyo, Ogun State, and maybe Port Harcourt that will be benefiting. So I think they need to look at the consumption or derivative itself to look at it. How do we share it better? Remember, it is being shared by population before, whereby when you know there's a lot of dimension to it, because when you are sharing that, sometimes you have to look at population too, because when you are considering consumption, people in Lagos, Kano, Kaduna are more in population, and they consume those items more, and that's why it is being shared by population. But you now say it is being shared by where they will return it back to where the companies operating. I think it's wrong, because if you go to Lagos, most headquarters in Lagos, they are only doing paperwork. The major operation happens in other states, so other states will not benefit. That we even all have companies, we must also consider, because Lagos is Lagos because of just special thing, maybe water, that make Lagos so special.
All right, Doctor. Now, does that not justify the agitations in some quarters, particularly in the South over recent times, when they said that the oil companies should relocate their head offices to where exploration, where their real activity takes place?
I think that's the major reasons, because if you look at most, as at then, I think they have returned. As at then, I think most headquarters want to situate in Lagos. I recall one of them is even situated in Abuja. Meanwhile, the operation is happening in the South.
Exactly.
So Abuja will be collecting. That's what silly means. If headquarters is in Abuja, Abuja will be collecting all the VAT. Why the operation, the degradation, environmental problem, problem, decay of a lot of things, consumptions will be happening in another place, and you'll be collecting money. So, and that's why some of us say once we come here, so that we can actually see why. I think they should adjust that area. For me personally, you cannot say, and I'm sure they are taking into it. According to even the tax reform team, they are saying they are open to any discussion. So that's why I say let us go debate it, and let's see if they will adjust or they will not adjust. I'm convinced they will adjust, because they are bringing 4 bills, and it's only one that is having issues. So one should not be a reason why 3 other bills should not go.
Well, Doctor, still looking at the basis of the distribution, this is a very delicate matter, and we can see it from the way it has played out thus far. But if we must be very, if we must stay on the issues only and remove emotion and remove the politics and politricks around this matter, do you really think that it is right to have this shared on the basis of population, when you can have, and I say this with a sense of responsibility, because I think that it's really a time to push people to do the right things, because like you just said, even the northern states have more resources than the southern states. Now, so is it right to return revenue to a large population that is largely not producing, compared to a smaller population that produces what we all want to now share from the returns?
Right. When you say producer, I think it's a 2 different things. We must separate natural resources from businesses now. For South, they have natural resources and they are collecting 13% derivation. Sorry, Niger Deltas. So to say, but now for businesses, Dangote is actually from Kano State, but because of the nearness to raw material, which is localization, allocation of industry, he chose to invest in Kogi, to invest in Lagos. Now, ideally, that's what brought him there. He would have wanted to invest in Kano. So now that we have this situation, we are not saying that the place where it is being produced should not have its own share, but I've given you an example of banks. And banks' operation is in all different local governments. The headquarters are just doing the operation and paperwork. Are you saying it's justified to send the VAT, everything, while the infrastructure is being degraded in another place? The only thing is that let's balance it. They need to trickle and review it. I agree that it deserves the states where there is more industry deserve it. But recall, there are other things that also follow that. If you are producing in your state, you still have more employment. People will be engaged. Your GDP will be high.
Exactly.
Right? You have much more income to operate. You collect more taxes. Yes. But
even bragging rights.
I want other states to go and have much more investment around what the natural endowment. Like Kogi State have water to an extent. They should invest around that. Like Kogi State have iron and steel. The state government can also create
they have a whole lot of solid minerals, yeah?
Right. We have columbites, a lot of things. But the fact is that the VAT is a national issue. Recall Lagos State took Lagos State and Rivers State took federal government to court, and the case is still in court. Is in Supreme Court now about VAT, where Wike, when he was governor, the state should be collecting every of the VAT and give any amount to federal government. So let's see how that will play out. That's a factor. But now we need to look at what is obtainable now. Then over time, remember, even the tax reform also captured that VAT is 7.5 now. By next year, so 2026, VAT will go to 10%. By 2030 also, VAT will go to 15%. There are other components of this tax reform. So I want us to just make sure that with this one that is much more controversial, they should find a way of balancing it. Perhaps, why not change it that, okay, consumption will be 70%, 20% will be for the where it is being derived, I think that will be another solution. So we must review and look at what is obtainable by bringing about the stakeholder. And that's why we have this issue. I think the major reason for this issue is that President Tinubu did not consider these governors before proceeding to National Assembly. It's not bad to call them for a meeting. Like this Taiwo that is coming to National Assembly, Oyedele and Zach, they should have go to these governors, meet them, tell them that this is our plan. We will collect, because it's as it is that it's even favor governors more, because government will collect 100% and return like 90% back to the state. But they need to understand what is the need for them and why it should be like that. I just think they need to clarify and have a lot of discussion around it.
All right. Very shortly, we might be letting you go. But just before you go, don't you think that the amount of energy that has been spent, that has been dissipated on this particular part of the bill should be spread to the fact that what you just referred to when you talked about the gradual incremental rates, the gradual increment of VAT that is being proposed. At a time like this, when things are very difficult, should there be any such idea in the first instance of increase in VAT rate? Is that not something that should engage the attention of the public and leaders of thought?
Honestly, this tax reform is long overdue, but I just want President to take it much more easy. You know why? This president is being known for revenue. So whenever Nigerians hear about an increment or a reform, they will think, okay, we want to get revenue from that aspect. And that's why he needs to engage his governors, because governors are threatening National Assembly members. For that bill, you will not let you return.
Oh no. If you don't mind, Doctor, you will need to take that last part of what you said, because it didn't get to me, and I guess it didn't get to me, the Nigerians that are watching.
Right. What I'm saying is that in as much as presidents that have quest for a little more, it should please engage the governors as well. Why it's buying into it, but this debate will continue. Those National Assembly that are opposing that also is the governors is support them doing that. And it is that be hitting politics.
I'm afraid we would have to let you go at this point. That's Dr. Ilias Aliyu. Thank you so much for joining us. And I do hope that you will always be available to us when we call. Thank you so much for your enlightening, very articulate intervention.
Thank you so much.